Guys, I can finally say it is damn Tiffy time. She finally cashed in the briefcase in one of the most beautiful, exciting, most twisty, turny way of cashing in a briefcase I've ever seen in WWE history. And of course, my emotions were running high as soon as she became our new WWE Women's Champion, and I said this has to be the greatest cash in of all time. The internet being the internet dragged me through the mud saying, is she new to wrestling? Did you just start watching wrestling? Are you serious? I guess you never heard of Dolph Ziggler. So that got me thinking, who really does have the greatest Money in the Bank cash-in of all time? In this video today, we will be dissecting that from the historic WrestleMania 31 Seth Rollins cash-in to the very first ever cash-in with Edge at New Year's Revolution 2006. So where does Tiffy time fit in the pantheon of unforgettable cash-ins? I did my due diligence. I researched the top 10 most talked about cash-ins of all time, the top 10 unforgettable cash-ins of all time, the top 10 greatest cash-ins of all time, and I have curated a list here. And do not be upset about the list, okay? I'm sure your favorites are going to be on the list, but don't be upset that I missed out on something. You guys know the meme of the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and there's like numbers? That was me to curate this list, so do not attack me in the comments about this list. Okay, we understand, Minnie, but how are we going to go about this? Don't worry, I got you on that as well. So here we are again using a handy dandy tier list, and I have separated them into the greatest of all time cash-in, unforgettable cash-in, that was a good cash-in, and they hated you type of cash-in. So the first one here obviously being New Year's Revolution 2006, we have Edge. This was a very historic and important moment in WWE history because not only was it the first ever cash-in, it also solidified Edge as an opportunistic superstar in WWE. And I'm not going to be doing this for every single Money in the Bank winner, but Edge won this against Kane, Shelton Benjamin, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, and Christian. And after he cashed in, he got his first WWE Championship title, and it was against John Cena. It did take 2 spears to take John Cena down, but nonetheless, it was the first ever successful cash-in. It was his first WWE Championship title. It was one of the more prestigious, most unforgettable cash-ins of all time. I might switch this later, but I'm putting this in unforgettable. And speaking of first ever WWE World Heavyweight Championships, Dean Ambrose is the next cash-in. This cash-in is a surprising and unforgettable one because he just won the briefcase in the 2016 Money in the Bank. He won the briefcase, and then after Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns to regain the title, just a little over an hour, Dean Ambrose comes in and cashes it on Seth Rollins and becomes the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I think a lot of people might disagree with where I placed this, but considering it involved all 3 Shield members, considering that it was the day that he won it and he had the lunatic fringe character, so it just made perfect sense for him to cash it in because he's such a lunatic. He's not going to be as calculating. He's not going to be as opportunistic. He's the lunatic fringe. So I will put this in unforgettable. Next up here, we got The Miz. In a 2013 Raw, he cashed it in on Randy Orton right after Randy Orton had a grueling match against Wade Barrett. This is also where our beloved Angry Miz Girl came into all of our TV screens. Randy Orton was still on his feet, essentially. So Miz still being able to have a successful cash-in, it was good. I think the Angry Miz Girl is more of a GOAT. If she was in here, I would put her in the GOAT. But I'm gonna place that one in that was good. Next up here, we got Carmela. This was a SmackDown after WrestleMania 34. She was the first ever women's Money in the Bank winner. This one I know infuriates us so much, not because of Carmela, but because of Mr. Mike Chioda. I don't understand how Carmela is yelling, squealing, I wanna cash in, and he's just like, trying to compute it. He's like, huh? And she's like, I want to cash it. This was the most grueling one I have ever seen a ref be so dumbfounded about something that they should already understand, something that has been so obvious to them for years. If there's a briefcase and they're handing it to you, that means they're going to cash in. I don't know if Mike Chioda's software just wasn't updated that day, but damn, that was so grueling. Enough to make me think, was this actually supposed to be the plan? Was Carmela supposed to cash in? Because of Mike Chioda's confusion, I'm thinking he was waiting for Vince in his ear to tell him, yes, Carmela's cashing in. That is the only plausible reason I can think as to why it took him forever to actually accept the cash in. But this was a very historic moment. This was the first ever women's cash in. The Iconics just beat up Charlotte too, which was perfect. And then you see Carmela running in. I've always been a Carmela adorer. I will put this one as an unforgettable one because not only was this the first ever WWE Women's Money in the Bank cash in, it's also just my Kyoto. You will never make us forget about this moment. Next up here, we got Randy Orton, SummerSlam 2013. This was against Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan just defeated John Cena, and of course, Triple H was a special guest referee. Now, Randy Orton's music hits. He walks into the ring as if he's cashing in. Daniel Bryan was celebrating, and then he pauses. Randy Orton starts to turn around, and of course, Triple H hits him with the pedigree from behind. Randy Orton slithers back in the ring, defeats Daniel Bryan, 1, 2, 3, and becomes the new WWE champion. This was a pivotal moment because the Authority was essentially the faction that was taking over Monday Night Raw, and Randy Orton sold out. For me, I love the Authority, but that was strictly because I was such a huge fan of Seth Rollins. Whatever he did, I would follow. Now, where does this rank? Does this rank as an an unforgettable, that was good? I will go ahead and rank it as that was good because I don't necessarily think it was an unforgettable one. It is Randy Orton after all. It's not like if John Cena sold out, that would be different, but this was a good cash-in. Next up here, we have arguably one of the greatest of all time cash-ins. Dolph Ziggler cashes in with one of the largest pops the WWE Universe has ever heard. And of course, it was against Alberto Del Rio. We don't gotta talk about him as champion and how much he was hated at the time. This one was a very special cash-in because it solidified Dolph Ziggler outside of being just a mid-carder. Now, he's a main eventer. Now, he is world champion material. This redefined Dolph Ziggler's career. I will say this, and you guys are gonna hate me for it. I liked Dolph Ziggler, but I was never a huge fan of Dolph Ziggler. So for me, this one wasn't on my radar of best cash-ins of all time. I would put it as best pops of all time because that pop was major. And I was happy when he did successfully cash in. Understand the precedence of this cash-in. I am gonna put it in greatest of all time. Next up here, we have CM Punk's Raw cash-in. This was the Raw after Night of Champions in 2008. Edge just had a grueling match with Batista, and then on Monday Night Raw, he was in the ring gloating about his win. Batista comes out, beats the crap out of him, gives him a Batista powerbomb, and as Batista is walking up the ramp, we hear CM Punk's theme hit. He comes out with Mike Chioda. Not confused this time, don't worry. He's got it together. He immediately understands the situation and actually gets the match going. CM Punk hits the GTS on Edge and wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So where does this land? Go unforgettable, that was good, or they hated you? Before I make my decision, let me go ahead and remind you guys, because I already know where this is going. If this was 3 years ago, I probably would have put it in a different category. But because we are talking about 2025, 2024 WrestleMania happened, Edge was gloating in the ring. He had a smile on his face, he was gloating. He got his ass beat by Batista, leaving the opportunity for CM Punk to cash in. 2024 WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre was gloating in front of CM Punk. He was smiling because he just won against Seth Rollins. And instead of being the bigger man, he stayed gloating. He got his ass beat by CM Punk. Then Damian Priest comes out, cashes in successfully, and CM Punk is there smiling and laughing because he already knows and understands that feeling of being that opportunistic to finding the right time. And that is why CM Punk's cash-in is going to go in the GOAT category. Next up here, we got Sheamus. Sheamus cashing in. As you can tell, there's confetti. So Roman Reigns just regained his title. There was confetti. This was big dog Roman Reigns. And when I tell you that I hated this man, I hated this man. I hated Roman Reigns. I hated Roman Reigns with a passion. I don't anymore. Obviously, I acknowledge my tribal chief. But damn, this man was literally my #1 op. So when Sheamus came in with the Money in the Bank briefcase, I marked out. This was also a time when creative was sort of lacking. They didn't really have anybody to put put over, so they kind of put the briefcase on Sheamus. This was also a time when Sheamus was getting "you look stupid" chants, and damn, he looks stupid. I appreciated Sheamus for cashing in and actually having a successful cash in, but you're also putting him in a predicament where the big dog wasn't really being received that well, especially from Marks. And then you got Sheamus, who was getting "you look stupid" chants, and the whole thing was really anticlimactic. So unfortunately, Sheamus, as much as I appreciated you, I appreciated that cash in. Believe me, I did. I can't go based off my appreciation over it. I gotta go with they hated you, man. They hated you. They had nothing else for you. They had nothing else for anybody. And I can already see Vince McMahon just like, oh, well, if you guys don't like Roman Reigns, here's Sheamus. So that's why I gotta put you in they hated you. Next up here, we got the heist of the century. We got WrestleMania 31. When I tell you, I just told you I hated the big dog. But I was a different breed back then. I hated Roman Reigns. This was actually in California too, and I wanted to go to this event, but I was dating a dude and I asked him if he wanted to go and he said no, and I didn't feel comfortable going by myself, especially when the event was like 3 hours away from me. So I was like, all right, then I guess I just won't go, and I stayed home and I watched this. I regret just not going by myself. My hate for Roman Reigns stemmed from like a lot of things. I knew that Seth Rollins was the actual star. So for me, I always hated Roman Reigns even more because they were trying to push him as a star. And I was like, no, Seth Rollins is the star. Obviously now things are different. But damn, as soon as Seth Rollins' music hit and you had Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns laying down on the mat, you had Seth Rollins coming in with that long ramp. That thing was like a mile long. He comes in running. It was opportunistic, but it wasn't at the same time because he didn't wait until the match was over. He had both men laying down and he came in. So it became a triple threat. He had a curb stomp on Roman Reigns and he became finally the WWE champion. And this was definitely one of my favorite moments as a wrestling fan because this was the last time I could remember having just so much attachment and so much care into an individual like I did with Seth Rollins. So this one obviously is going to go into GOAT. And lastly, we have Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton joined the PC in 2021. She shortly becomes the NXT champion. She shortly gets moved up to the main roster. She shortly becomes the Money in the Bank winner and then becomes the WWE Women's Champion. What a hell of a career. That was done in less than 5 years. Talking about the twists and turns, she comes out with the ref and she cashes in and then pushes the ref and then uses the briefcase to hit Naomi, and then Nia Jax takes the win. And the announcers are saying that it was all a ruse. Nia Jax is smiling at Tiffany. They go and celebrate, and then Tiffany is like, Nia Jax, keep beating up Naomi, and then she does, and then she uses the briefcase to hit her from behind and then attacks Candice LeRae and then finally cashes in and then hits the prettiest moonsault and then finally becomes the WWE Women's Champion. I love the whole twist and turning of it. I love everything leading up to the actual cash in because we were getting so tired about the fake teases. We were getting so tired about her trying to cash in because they did become less exciting. It became less impactful. But damn it, when I said this has to be the greatest of all time cash in, I meant it. You're gonna go in the GOAT category. There you have it, folks. And if I missed any of your favorite cash-ins, please let me know down in the comments. Until next time, bye!